Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the one true villain, Marty Skell. And as you all know, all my friends are dead. It's very unfortunate. But if they were alive, I'd encourage them to listen to Tiger Driver Radio. Yes. If you want to get up to date and all your Ring of Honor news, New Japan, you want to hear about Villain Enterprises, then Tiger Driver Radio is the station for you. So make sure you give it a download, you give it a listen, and don't be a bloody numpty. Long live the villain.
Let's see it.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Tiger Driver Radio. This is your main man, J to the P, alongside Juicy J. And of course, we welcome our good friend of the show,
Blue, hey, what's up?
What's Blue.
You're gonna need a gimmick, Blue, like some kind of It's like a Ric Flair.
Oh, just start. You know what? Actually, just play the theme or the intro to Blue's Clues.
Yeah,
Before you go on.
that'd be pretty sick.
They're like, "You're my boy, Blue. You're my boy." Oh man, dude, man. I came into the studio earlier.
Yeah.
And then and man, I am super stoked. I know we usually go to the news a little bit later after talking about, what's been going on with New Japan Pro Wrestling or whatever else. But dude, that announcement for Bloodsport for WrestleMania weekend, if you will, Game Changer Wrestling always presents that shoot fighting event in the past couple of years. Chris Dickinson, Mr. Born to Fuck.
Yeah.
Dirty Chris Dickinson will face off against Minoru Suzuki, and I am so fucking excited about that.
That's gonna be cool.
That's gonna be good. Insane. Because in my opinion, I think Chris Dickinson is probably one of the top prospects in independent wrestling currently.
And is that the same night as Moxley and
yeah, that's the same event.
Yeah,
Moxley and Barnett. Absolutely.
Dang.
That's a big it's like I said, every year for the past couple of years, the Game Changer has done like a shoot fight type of event.
Yeah.
And I think most of the matches are worked shoots. There's been a couple that were actual shoots. So I'm pretty sure at this point Suzuki's not going to do an actual shoot at this point in his career.
Yeah.
But just the fact that, there is no ropes, it is just a platform and they just go at it. It was really entertaining. I mean, last year Barnett and Suzuki did go to a time limit draw. The year before that, Suzuki tapped out Matt Riddle prior to that. So I mean, it's really awesome. Just like, that you take some of the most like badass and toughest guys in professional wrestling, some with MMA backgrounds, some, who are just pro wrestlers, but a lot of tough characters always make their appearance at this show. And you have a lot of dream matches. In fact, I even think Moxley said that the year that he saw Bloodsport live, I remember there was footage of him and William Regal watching it from the balcony. And that kind of ignited Moxley's idea of, you know what, I think I will leave the WWE. He's like, I think he wanted to for a long time, and then after a while, he's like, you know what,
should do it.
There's a lot of cool shit going on out here, like that makes me excited for pro wrestling. So I mean, he saw that match between Riddle and Suzuki, and I think that kind of ignited his passion for pro wrestling again. And lo and behold, in the next couple of weeks, Minoru Suzuki versus Jon Moxley will happen at the New Beginning in Osaka, which I'm also mega excited for. Yes, that deserves a round of applause. Deserves a round of applause, dude. But no, like I said, how old is Minoru Suzuki at this point? 51?
He's old.
He's old. Yeah, by wrestling standards, he's older.
Yeah.
But the fact is, like, he can still, like, fuck up, like, maybe 95% of anybody in any promotion. Yeah. Like, shoot-wise. Like, he could probably just fuck you up. So I don't think I'll ever get tired of seeing Minoru Suzuki. When he retires, I'll be really, really bummed out. Yeah. Because he's definitely part of a bygone era that doesn't exist anymore. Like, that kind of wrestler does not exist.
Suzuki's a man. You like Suzuki, Blue?
Oh yeah, I love him. I met him.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
True.
Yeah. Like, wait, what are you talking
about? I went to his store.
I went to the store. He took a picture, which is on social media.
Yeah,
I Driver Radio on Instagram.
I like stalked this store for 2 days trying to see who's here. No, yeah, I love Suzuki. Yeah, it's gonna be a crazy event, the Bloodsport. I've never seen one before.
Oh yeah,
So
it's an awesome event.
yeah.
Like that whole thing of WrestleCon and Bloodsport and everything else is taking away the sparkle from WrestleMania itself.
You know, for a lot of diehard wrestling fans, I think it's come to the point now where a lot of diehards view WrestleMania as an afterthought now. It's like, I'll go to WrestleMania because I'm here. Fuck it. I'm what else am I going to do besides watch it in my hotel room? You know? So I think a lot of people approach WrestleMania as kind of like, all right, fuck it, I'll go. It is WrestleMania. I mean, something cool is going to happen. Yeah. But all the events surrounding WrestleMania always are really entertaining. And it's really cool because around that time of year, you see a lot of crossover. Like you'll see, you know, this guy from this promotion come over to this promotion, this event, and a lot of interesting crossovers. And I think a lot of conversations happen during this whole week, whether it's with the WWE or with New Japan or with other indies. Pretty much you start to see, I don't know if you notice this, but after that week, things start to kind of change in terms of booking and who goes where, who goes, like what happens here, who knows what. And it's always interesting to see what's the fallout after, not just with WWE, if that's your thing, but just with wrestling in general. You start to see a lot of interesting crossover. And I think because at that point, the entire wrestling world converges onto, you know, wherever WrestleMania is, everything around it, just everyone converges. And I think a lot of conversations, you know, are had. You know, which like, makes it really.
Where are you? Where have you been?
Where have you been?
Over here?
Say, hey, I'm over here. Come over here. I want to book you. Or you know what, man? Maybe I'll go over to this company because they'll pay me more. Or hey, we should do something.
Like, let's create a faction.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure so many amazing ideas and just different things happen just because of that 1 week alone.
Yeah, they all congregate there. Yeah, I remember a couple of years back they had that Lucha Underground TNA show, and now TNA is basically Lucha Underground wrestlers take over Brian Cage, John Morrison at the time.
Yeah,
like they kind of fused.
Yeah,
after WrestleMania weekend, and I was like, oh wow, that's kind of probably save TNA's
ass a little bit.
At the time. So yeah, that was pretty good. But
yeah, sorry, gonna happen with everything. No, I was just gonna say that it's gonna be good, and I mean, New Japan's going to be there. And speaking of New Japan, let's talk about this Fantastica Mania tour.
Absolutely. Let's get to it.
I'm glad this is the last time I'm going to play it for the rest of the year.
I really
the CMLL theme.
I really don't like the CMLL theme. I never have.
It's awesome.
It's a little too close to Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah, I think it is. Maybe you should look into that. Maybe we could get some money because we're telling them they're stealing other people's songs.
I don't know. I mean, how many people haven't? How many people at this point have ripped off the Rocky theme?
Yeah,
everybody. You know, I mean, like I said, did you listen to the Minoru Suzuki theme? Yeah. In the middle, there's kind of like a Rocky part. You know,
in the middle.
Yeah, like in the middle. Like,
yeah, you mentioned.
Oh yeah.
That's true. We don't have to play it now, but. You know, but I'm just saying that, you know, it does bear a small resemblance. Mm-hmm. And let me just start off by saying is that, God damn it, dude, I'm so sick of Doki getting pinned. Stop making him job out to people, man. I love Doki. Like, use him, please.
And the other thing I just found out, I didn't know this. You probably did, Joe. Huh. And I didn't know Namahagwe is Desperado. Did you guys know it?
Wait, what?
Namahagwe,
the wrestler,
the wrestler is Desperado.
It's the same guy.
It's the same guy.
I did not know that.
How did you find that out?
I was just searching online because I never seen him in CML, and I thought, well, that's strange. Who's this guy? And just appeared for this tour, and I think he's been in past Fantastica Manias, I believe. But it's Desperado. It's just his another persona.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so strange.
When I saw that, I was like, "Is that true?" So I kept looking at his matches and
his movements,
and then in the post-match interviews, and it is him because I know Desperado on Instagram when he posts his pictures without his mask or the top of his face covered. You could see he's kind of has a beard. You could see his beard.
Yeah.
So when they did a post-match interview with Namahagwe, you could see that same beard, and then yeah, he has the same type of the way he moves, the way he talks, and everything. And this guy knows Spanish and Japanese.
Which
So-
Desperado does, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, so I
Huh.
thought that was really cool.
That's crazy. Because I mean, I thought he looked kind of familiar, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
And it
just-
makes sense because he was Doki, which is in kind of Suzuki-gun.
yeah.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool.
Could we sense a gimmick change?
Maybe.
I mean, could be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Namahagwe is a little weird. I didn't really like it as much, but opposed to, of course, Desperado, which is one of my favorites. But yeah, I thought that was a cool thing. I didn't know. This Fuego guy, I didn't really like. This Luchador Fuego.
It's
How
funny
you-
because he's been
how you
on
felt about him?
MLW and in Pro Wrestling Gorilla a lot these past
Yeah.
couple of years.
Yeah. And Dulce Gardenia got over big time with Japanese fans
That's the
with the
thing.
whole Exotico gimmick.
It's like we talked about this yesterday. How like in society, it's still a controversial thing to be like gay,
Yeah.
but as a gimmick, it gets over
Uh,
because it's just, I guess, they're more enticed. I guess people are more fascinated and entertained by the actual gimmick than in real life. But yeah, like people love him.
he's over. And
I'll-
then he's
I'll put-
kissing all the LIG people.
I know he slapped Shingo in the ass, and Shingo turned around like,
Yeah.
like, don't fucking do that, you know?
Yeah, and he's making Tanahashi kiss some of the other LIG people. Like, and Japanese people love it.
Tell you, man. Tanahashi is very comfortable with his sexuality. Remember a couple years ago, he came out as one of the boys for Dalton Castle.
Yeah.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, he did. He came out as one of the boys. It was
That's
him and
too-
it was him and Taguchi. It was fucking hilarious.
oh, man.
Absolutely.
And then there's this Stuka guy. What I didn't know about the Stuka Jr.
Yes.
because one of his moves that he does is kind of like a coffin drop, but like forward. Like he's kind of like a little missile kind
Yeah.
of just. But and the reason I thought that was cool because Stuka actually means like dive bomb, like the German dive bombers.
Yeah, yeah.
Is
Oh.
what it is, what it means. So I guess that's how kind of cool how he tied it with his move set and everything. And I didn't know that, so I thought it was pretty cool. And he's a good wrestler. Never seen him as much as other than the Fantastica Mania tours. And Forastero, I think I told you guys last week that Forastero, Cuatrero, and Sanson were called Dinastia, but they're actually called Dinamita.
Dino.
Yeah, so I just wanted to correct myself. But with them, they're second generation wrestlers. They're the Cien Caras is the uncle and father to these three cats.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so
So they're all
Yes.
brothers.
yeah, well, two of them are brothers and the other one's a cousin. And so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, these Mexican families run deep, man. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
they do run deep.
everybody's somebody's cousin or uncle or something. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
yeah. Something else that was interesting was well, I think we talked about it before as well with Caristico and his gimmick. But with Caristico and let me go to show you one of the other nights. But it was Caristico and Barbaro Cavernario had a match for the one of the NWA titles. So that to me, that's interesting in itself because you're defending a title that NWA doesn't even want anymore.
I mean, for a long time, NWA had several different titles, and it goes back to early on in New Japan's history when, before the IWGP Junior Light Heavyweight title, before the Junior Heavyweight title,
Mhm.
they had the WWE Light Heavyweight title.
Mhm.
And then when the WWE wanted to revive their Light Heavyweight division as a response to the Cruiserweight division in WCW,
Mhm.
they called for the title back. And then the light heavyweight title in New Japan became defunct, and then they retired that title in WWE, and then they redid the light heavyweight title as they wanted it to be done in the mid '90s. So New Japan actually has quite a history of keeping like basically almost dead titles going. It's not. This
Yeah.
isn't the first time that this has happened.
Did you ever hear about the J Crown, which was like eight
different
titles combined into one, which I thought was like the coolest thing.
Yeah, I've seen one title defense live
Yeah.
back in the 90s.
Same.
Ultimo Dragon against Rey Mysterio for the J Crown.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Of course, Ultimo Dragon won, but apparently what had happened initially with that title was 8 different people were champions throughout the world, different promotions or whatever else. And basically there was a one night tournament that got held, and whoever won basically unified all 8 of those titles.
Yeah.
I think initially the Great Sasuke won.
Yeah.
And then after that, he lost it to the Ultimo Dragon, which the Ultimo Dragon would start appearing on Nitro with all 8 belts.
Yeah.
But it was apparently a way to unify different light heavyweight titles around the world.
It's
And
crazy.
I think that was sometime after the light heavyweight division got established by the WWE. It was kind of like a response.
Yeah.
But this isn't the first time I've heard that the NWA World Historic Light Heavyweight title is defended, because you don't see that title being mentioned on NWA Power at this point.
Yeah, because from looking it up online, it's like NWA kind of disowned all these titles. The middleweight, and I think the other one's a light heavyweight. Like they just said, you know what, we want nothing to do with that. Like that's your deal, CMLL. 'Cause I think CMLL was part of NWA at one point. Like
Yes, it was.
a while back. So, which is why they're defending these titles. But I just thought it was weird that they mentioned them. But I mean, they were good matches. I know the other one was the let's see, not the. There was a few. There was also like a mini tag tournament too within this Fantastic.
Yeah, it was like
Mania.
4 different teams. Absolutely.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool as well. But I wanted to show you the other match they had, which was man, I can't find it for you. The NWA World Historic Light Heavyweight. So they add that other part to the name, historic.
Yeah.
I guess just to differentiate it from the actual NWA. But Stuka Jr. had a match with Okamura for the light heavyweight title, and so that was an awesome match. And they also had this CML World Heavyweight Championship of Kojima versus Ultimo Guerrero. And on another awesome match, Ultimo Guerrero, I thought he was a part of the Guerreros, of Eddie Guerrero and all those Guerreros, but he's actually not. Yeah. So interesting stuff, man, with Fantastica Mania and everything that went that happened. A lot of memorials that they had too, like this one for Black Cat. I don't know if you remember that guy.
Yeah, Black Cat was an old
But,
luchador from back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was really interesting. Like I said, I think a lot. I feel like Fantastica Mania, the way they present it, it's kind of like trifold. One, it's kind of a break for the roster to recover before the upcoming season just really starts to kick off, and you start getting into New Beginning, and then you get into the New Japan Cup, and then you get into the best of the Super Juniors and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And then you have a long year ahead of you. But then I also feel that it's kind of a nice way to kind of reestablish and rekindle ties to like their Mexican promotion, because I think they've always done it with CMLL for the longest time.
Mm.
So it's kind of to rekindle that, and also it's kind of like a little like fun gimmick to bring in audiences. Like, oh wow, there's like proper lucha libre in Mexico. It isn't just like Japanese guys knowing how to lucha. It's like we got stars from Mexico, which is once a year kind of a thing. So I think it's kind of like a nice little PR move.
Yeah, and they embraced it too, because even people in the fans had like the vuvuzelas, those like trumpets or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. They definitely
Yeah.
get festive into it, which I absolutely love, which is phenomenal. It's awesome, and I love the fact that they do have it at Korakuen Hall, which just adds it to make it feel more special.
Yeah. And there's Wrestle Geek on Podbean.
What's
what
up?
Wrestle Geek? What he mentioned NWA asked Montreal to stop using the NWA Canadian titles. They just stopped using the letters and it was fine.
It just became the Canadian titles. Wow.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like NWA has had a history of having all these different titles, and eventually, like they would become defunct or uninterested. But all these other companies that were hosting these titles would keep it going.
Yeah.
So I wonder what the NWA thinks about the use of the historic lightweight title, in New Japan and in CMLL respectively.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting how they like I said, New Japan. This is not the first time that New Japan has a history of keeping a near defunct title active.
Yeah, and I think what they said in commentary is that one of the titles wasn't defended since 2017, and which again is weird. I don't know if they're doing it just because NWA is a thing now again, and maybe they're trying to get
Yeah,
maybe
separate themselves from the
yeah.
old NWA. That's because NWA had like a bunch of. It almost felt like territories. They had the Wild Side. They had all these different NWA things going on, and they had
Yeah.
like a million belts. That it probably just like the remains of it still end up in other countries where it was like, well, we have the belt. We're just
Yeah.
gonna call it what it is, and they're probably worst case scenario. I think it's just gonna be a couple name changes for belts across.
Oh, absolutely.
Which yeah, we'll see. That's interesting that they just kind of completely want to separate from that.
Yeah.
But
And
Yeah.
like, you know what, guys, we're out of here. We're something different now. So bye.
I thought that was really fun though as well that Tiger Mask got to wrestle against Tigre, which is like cat versus cat. Of course, Tiger Mask won with the Tiger suplex hold.
You know what about something about Tigre that Negro Casas is his uncle?
Really?
Yeah. See, he's part of that whole Casas crew.
Wow, I did not know that. Like I said, these families run deep,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
that's
I think it said Felino was his dad. Tigre,
I remember Felino. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, like everybody is related to everybody.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw over the weekend. I think La Parca's son, like La Parca 2 or the second one, posted like his dad's face
Mhm.
on Instagram or on
Yeah.
Twitter, just so people could see his actual face. You guys didn't see that on like online Twitter?
No.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
I'm gonna have to check that out.
yeah, that was the thing. Like his son was like, "Oh, I wanted you guys to meet my dad, like the dad I knew before or like after he passed away, because a lot of people didn't get to see like his actual
Who he
face.
was? Yeah.
Yeah, but thanks to that, and I'm like, oh wow, cool.
That is amazing. Wow.
Yeah, you can probably find it on
Yeah.
social media somewhere.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out. Yeah, because never. Or that I can remember his face. I don't remember his face.
No, it's crazy how like they keep it going. That's
Yeah.
keeping it kayfabe.
Absolutely. Like I said, it's just it's kayfabe. To an extent, I still think is kept for the most part fairly well and alive in Mexico.
hmm
Masks still mean a lot. It is still a big deal when you decide to get rid of your mask, which I've always been interested to see. Like, what did people think when like La Sombra, being part of the heritage that he's from, decided to, get rid of his mask
Yeah.
and join the WWE?
Well, that was a huge deal. I mean, when he had his mom was there, everybody was there for. I remember seeing that on. I think I watched it on a YouTube video like a while back ago.
Yeah.
It's huge. Atlantis, who I think if they want to drop, they want somebody to drop their mask, they always put it towards Atlantis because that guy, I've always seen that guy take a bunch of people's mask. And La Sombra was known, like I think he would wear like a chain of masks around his neck. 'Cause
Yeah.
he had taken a couple people's masks. I think Volador Jr. was one of those, and so it was like a big deal at the time. Whenever I don't know what one was, it was like 2013.
Yeah, it was like the early
It was a while back
teens.
ago.
Yeah.
But he's doing well for himself. I hope he gets a WrestleMania match.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but all this match or mask stuff is crazy because I know in this one in this Black Cat Memorial, one of the people that was there in that memorial was one of the bookers for CMLL, and his job, his only job was to, as commentary was talking about it, is that his only job was to book the matches of mask versus hair and hair versus hair and whatever
Mhm.
different of those matches you want to book, combinations of the matches you want to book. But to only have that one guy do that, it shows you how big that, of course, how masks and hairs are.
Yeah, how serious they take
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, you lose your mask and you're kind of done after that.
That's
Well, in
like-
Mexico.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like that. There's your gimmick, right? It's
Yeah.
like you can't use this gimmick anymore. It's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, because a lot of these people in the Fantastica Mania, they previously had masks. Like Ultimo Guerrero had a mask. I know one of these Chavez brothers, like Niebla Roja and Angel de Oro, those guys had masks, and they lose it, and they still go. But I think, like I said, once in Mexico, once you take off your mask, then you're kind of done. Like you
Mhm.
can't really, build on that anymore.
Yeah.
So that's hard. But I mean, nonetheless, interesting tour though.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was really cool tour, and now we're gonna move into New Japan, New Beginning.
New beginning, both in America and in Osaka,
Mhm.
which I'm very, very excited
Yeah.
and it's just I'm very excited, especially in the sense that like this is going to be the first tier of tours that are going to see them trying to finally break in the U.S. market on a more consistent basis.
Mhm.
So I'm really interested to see how that's going to line up, because it isn't just going to be New Japan featuring Ring of Honor shows. It is going to be legitimate like New Japan Pro Wrestling shows featuring other New Japan talent.
Yeah.
I just wonder if, because of the fact that they also want to establish like a permanent New Japan roster in the States, who are they going to sign? Who are they going to showcase more of? And of course, part of the allure and attraction of New Japan Pro Wrestling in America is they want to see Japanese stars as well.
Mhm.
And who are they going to showcase in the States?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like we were saying last time with AEW becoming a thing that kind of took their momentum away with Kenny and the Bucks kind of
Mhm.
leaving. They were their main draws here in the U.S., but now it even after that, guys like Okada, Tanahashi, they're draws here because they're so you don't get to see them all the time. They're always in Japan doing their thing. So I like they kind of have this strategy where like go to US once, twice, 3 times a year and make them special events, even if they're just multi-man tags. People still want to see all their guys. I think that's what they're kind of focusing on right now and kind of doing a legacy thing with these new LA Dojo guys
Yeah,
like Carl Fredericks and all that.
and Clark Connors, and then those guys. Which,
Yeah.
by the way, like in my opinion, all three of them, especially Carl Fredericks, I think are stars
Yeah.
waiting to happen. Like,
That's cool that you guys just mentioned Carl Fredericks. I wanted to talk to you guys about his interview he just had yesterday in New Japan podcast.
yes,
He was talking about working with Shibata and him trying to be the best that they can in the dojo. But I don't know if you guys listened to it or not, but he was just talking about that first of all, that Shibata, when he talks to him, all he really tells him is like gives him a handshake and just tells him focus, and that's it. And he says that's enough for him, because I mean he knows that how he feels towards him, and how much Shibata, like, he gives his heart and soul to training all those guys, so he doesn't mind that, because he knows like he still needs to be working. But I thought it was an interesting interview. So if you guys out there want to check it out, it's on New Japan podcast or New Japan official podcast, and it was really interesting. He also talked about that with Shibata, his training every day is like 4 to 6 hours, and then 2 hours of weight training.
I believe it.
So that's intense.
So pretty much it's 8 hours a day. That's a job.
Yeah.
That's a job. Your job is to train every day. Like, that's wow. But that's
Yeah.
also got to be a dream come true, that you're under the tutelage of someone like Katsuyori Shibata,
Mm.
who, despite having the unfortunate abrupt end to his career after this match against Okada several years ago, the fact is he's had an awesome career for what it's worth.
Mhm.
And he at one point he was considered one of the new Three Musketeers between him, Nakamura, and Tanahashi back in the 2000s era.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can't even imagine. And the thing is, what I'm curious about is like, how are we're gonna have this conversation. What is now 2020? What's gonna happen in 2025? 5 years from now,
Mhm.
will any of these guys be headlining the Tokyo Dome? Will they be in another promotion? Will they be a household name? Will they still kind of will they fall into obscurity? Like, who is actually going to make a name for themselves?
Yeah.
And I mean, to be honest, I think all three of them are very capable,
Yeah.
but I feel like Carl Fredericks is the standout out of all three.
Yeah.
For the simple fact that he also has a natural charisma to him as well.
Yeah. Especially from that podcast, he said that he just went to a camp which Scorpio Sky got him into, like just a small little camp to see who's going to be going into New Japan. And Shibata was there, and then he asked right after, he told him, you know what, you should join me. And that's how he started in New Japan. So yeah, I mean, if he like it, I think everybody sees how good this guy is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You mean, are you talking about that Scorpio Sky invited him to his initial tryout with New Japan Pro Wrestling
Yeah, Scorpio Sky is the one who got him to that small camp
that New Japan had last
New
year?
Japan, yeah. And then yeah, that's where Shibata picked him up from that little camp.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The thing with New Japan, it's like a slow burn when it comes to like new people, because they have the whole young lion gimmick for a while, for years now, right?
Yeah. Well, the thing is that the young lion thing has been since the beginning of the promotion
Mhm.
is that any wrestler that they decide to train and they say, okay, you're going to come to the dojo and train,
Mhm.
they train them for a long time, like
Mhm.
anywhere between 2 to 3 years before you're allowed to like start utilizing other moves, before you can
Yeah, man.
actually develop like your personality. And that's why they always say that if you want to know how to work, you go to Japan. You go to
Yeah.
Japan if you really want to learn how to
Yeah.
work inside that ring and become a good wrestler. And that's why, like, if you notice, like, even the most boring, like I said, I talk a lot of shit, but look at a guy like Yoshihashi.
Mhm.
Zero goddamn charisma. Could give a flying fuck about him. But the thing is, he's still a much better worker than a lot of guys in the WWE because of the fact that you notice in the Japanese dojos that they emphasize repetition and also a mastery of the fundamentals of wrestling. They all know how to sell. I mean, yeah, there are times where they do super no selling because they try to show like that fighting spirit, you know. But there's an emphasis on basics and fundamentals and ring work and actual wrestling. So every Japanese wrestler, to varying degrees, knows how to flat out wrestle.
Yeah.
Whether they're great wrestlers or just average wrestlers, that's all. Every person's different. You know, not everybody can be an Okada, and not everyone can be a, you know, Naomichi Marufuji or anything like that, or Kenta Kobashi. But at the end of the day, every wrestler that spends time in Japan, especially if you're somebody that goes through a dojo system, you're a solid wrestler. You will always be a solid wrestler. And that's why, you know, you have guys that spent an X amount of time in Japan. You could see that influence into the wrestling style,
Mhm.
like flat out. I mean, even someone as high flying and innovative and as out there as Ricochet, where do you think he got that influence from? You know, Liger, Tiger Mask, guys like that. You know, and then of course you see a lot of people like, you know, Jericho and Guerrero and Benoit. Yeah, they had a lot of that lucha style, you know, influence, with the exception of Chris Benoit, of course. But they all had that fundamental style of wrestling, a strong style. Where did they get that from? Japan. Like I said, if you go to Japan to learn how to work, you know, and I think, you know, it's super evident with the way that anybody wrestles. And I said in a couple years, I wouldn't be surprised if you see one of these young lions,
Mhm.
you know, be considered one of the top wrestlers in the world.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Especially, you know, like that's one thing I'm always excited about. I'm always excited every year to see like the PWI 500, like
Oh, yeah.
Pro Wrestling Illustrated 5. I know this past year Adam Cole was considered the top wrestler in the world.
Huh.
But I know in the past couple of years the conversation has always included Okada and Kenny Omega. Earlier before it was, you know, Tanahashi, and at one point Nakamura was in that conversation. But it just shows you that when it comes to quality of matches, if you really break it down, how many American matches? I mean, I think only recently American matches have started to become like 5-star spectacles. But for the longest time, when it came to like actual, like, okay, if you want to talk about quality wrestling, everyone always talks about Japan,
Yeah.
and it's for a reason, and it's by design. So I mean, I mean, this is just me going on a rant at this point, but
I agree with you. Even TJP, you know, him. When he was in the Cruiserweight Classic, you could see how good he was. Then he went to WWE and kind of got ruined.
you know,
But
the thing, like I said, we go back and forth about this all the time, but I think one of the biggest things that's changed about wrestling now versus when we were growing up, and I think it's a lot more defined now, is that now people are a lot more acutely aware of different styles of wrestling.
Mhm.
Therefore, a certain style of wrestling might not work for a certain audience. Like and it's a shame, but you know, like I said, the WWE is the standard bearer of like it or not, they are the standard bearer of what professional wrestling is in North America and for many people around the world.
Yeah.
You know, but
I mean, he still has his good moments, like
yeah, it does.
NXT, of course.
Mhm.
Yeah, it absolutely does. But when you talk about something like a Zack Sabre Jr. versus, I don't know, if you have a mat wrestling class between Zack Sabre Jr. and, I don't know, fucking Will Ospreay.
Yeah.
Right? Clashing of styles. To someone like you and me, it's a 5-star. Just like, wow, you know, you see all this technical wrestling, chain wrestling, British catch wrestling. But to the typical like dumb teenager or child in WWE who just wants to see Roman Reigns or a John Cena, that kind of match would put that crowd to sleep. It's not for that crowd.
Yeah.
And just like me, I go to a WWE show. I think it's boring as fuck. Like,
Mhm.
I don't care about the characters. I don't care about the pageantry so much. I don't care about the pyrotechnics and the production. I just want to see quality wrestling, which is why for the longest time, I celebrated NXT, because you got a little bit of the quality and the production and all these
Mhm.
things that make WWE, you know, ahead of everyone else. But then you got the quality of wrestling that you would see in Japan or in Mexico or in the Indies in America. And I think it's been the past like 5 to 6 to shit, even 10 years for that matter, where a lot of these indie wrestlers that we used to celebrate are now finally getting the payoff of like wrestling for bigger companies and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And it goes by design that the WWE, they what? How many dates a year do they have? Like, fuck. Like,
So many. Yeah.
like,
It's like a pay per view every
like,
month,
but like pay per view every month, Monday,
and then
and Mondays and Thursdays every period.
Thursdays, and
Mhm.
not counting like the other
House shows.
shows.
Yeah. And then
like
you have
the-
house shows.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I'm going to say anywhere between at least over 300 shows
Mhm.
a year. Now, whether all wrestlers wrestle every single show, I don't know. I doubt that. But the point is that the schedule is fucking grueling.
Yeah.
So I completely understand that by design, a wrestler who wrestles over 200, let's just say 260, wrestles over 260 times a year, are they going to want to like kill themselves every night for 200 some odd nights, doing every insane spot, doing every type of chain wrestling stiff as hell? No, probably not. So what do? They play it safe. You kind of know your routine a little bit. You try to conserve your body. And by design, I understand it. I
Mhm.
absolutely understand why you do that. That's the smartest thing you could do. And I'm sure wrestlers do that for a reason. Like I said, at the end of the day, I'm just a fan.
Yeah.
But by design, I think because of how crazy that schedule is, it waters down the quality of wrestling,
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
which is why you see NXT, which they've filmed once, twice a week, maybe.
Mhm.
And they sometimes they film multiple segments. And because of that schedule, and because of the fact that it's a static location, usually
Yeah, they don't tour much.
they don't tour much. And when they do tour, it's only for like 2 weeks, maybe. And that allows wrestlers to have more healing time, less stressful travel, less of a stress on their body for lack, they don't have to travel. So of course you can have these insane matches. You have more time to put it together, more time to practice, more time to recuperate. So of course you're going to give your all because you're able to. So by
Mhm.
design, I understand why the WWE is the way that it is. But for me, with the way Japan is, it's like, yes, you wrestle hard as hell. It's super stiff, borderline dangerous, some people say, but you also have time to recover because they go several weeks, in some cases a month, where there is no wrestling
Yeah.
by choice. If you don't want to wrestle, you don't have to. And I understand like the debate of like, do I go over here, have more creative freedom, versus do I go over here and get the big paycheck, but I wrestle a much more watered down style to conserve my body? Like I said, at the end of the day, it's a job, and I understand people have bills to pay and they have families to take care of and their futures to look after. But by design, it's like the best way I can describe it is that for me, as a wrestling fan, WWE is Metallica. They have an awesome discography. Awesome discography. Depending on who you ask, the Black Album was the last good album or the first bad album. And from then on, including Death Magnetic and Saint Anger and all those fucking albums that came afterwards,
Mhm.
people either think it's utter shit or they think, oh no, it's still good. It's still good. It just depends on who you ask.
Mhm.
And to me, WWE is Metallica. It's like they can rest on their laurels, on their reputation, and people will still go see Metallica now because you can guarantee if I go see Metallica, I'm still gonna hear Ride the Lightning. I'm still gonna hear classics like Enter Sandman and Justice for All and Whiplash and all those badass songs that they played back in the day. And then I'm also gonna hear that new shit that I could not give two flying fucks about. But the point is that Metallica can still ride on their fucking reputation and make money, just like the WWE can. The WWE is part of Americana.
Yeah.
It's like the NFL or the NBA. The NBA can have a fucked up season and nothing good really happens, but people are still going to go because they want to support their team. That's what the WWE is. But for me, I prefer, punk rock and heavy metal where things are a little bit more dangerous and interesting.
Yeah.
And that's to me what indie and Japanese wrestling is now. It's like a lot of the interesting shit you see happens here, and then you'll see all this cool stuff that happens over here. It'll eventually trickle its way into the WWE, and then you start seeing it there. And
Mhm.
kids over there think it's the first time that this shit exists, and it's not.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
look at the Attitude Era. That was totally reactionary
Mhm.
to what ECW and WCW were doing. DX was a reaction to NWO. The light heavyweight division was a reaction to the cruiserweight division,
Mhm.
and all the gratuitous nudity and violence was just a reaction to the fact that there was a loud little crowd of people on the East Coast that were saying, ECW is the best thing since sliced
Yeah.
bread, So at the end of the day, WWE just does things reactionary. Then they always have been, and they're always going to get away with it because they have the most money and the most eyes on the product. It's pop music.
It's pop music.
It's pop music. Like, yeah. And it should be. I mean, who the hell wouldn't be like, you know what, man, I'm only making $100,000, a month wrestling on the indies and fucking killing myself. And then they're going to offer me, $900,000 to wrestle, and maybe I'll wrestle on Monday. And yeah, it's a crazy hectic schedule, but that's $900,000.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, 1 year in the WWE will do wonders for you. And then you go back to the indies and you're worth double what you were worth before you went.
Yeah.
So I don't blame a lot of guys who do it.
Yeah. Which is why, like, I completely understand on a strategic standpoint why someone like the WWE want to sign all these indie guys who are starting to get a little bit of a buzz. It's like, let's get them now before they get too fucking big.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we'll give them an opportunity to wrestle for WWE, because isn't that every wrestler's dream to wrestle for the WWE?
Mhm.
And I think some people now are coming. They're at the point now is like, I don't have to wrestle for the WWE if I don't want to. Like, that isn't the end all be all like it used to be for some people. I mean, for some people, it always will be. Everyone wants to, be like Shawn Michaels. Everyone wants to be like Eddie Guerrero and fucking Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold, But some people, I think, are starting to realize, like, nah, I don't necessarily have to if I don't want to.
Yeah.
I can still make a very comfortable living and not travel that insane schedule, which by design, I think, WWE is a victim of its own success, because had they been able to keep up with the pulse of what's really going on, if they were able to, which they haven't, there wouldn't be competition like there is now. There wouldn't.
No.
It wouldn't have happened. I mean, that's why I think NXT is the smartest thing they could have done. They are able to create an organic, loyal fan base for one of their products, because obviously I don't think WWE's Raw and SmackDown have a loyal fan base like that. No. Raw and SmackDown is what mom and dad go to take their little kids to go see. NXT is kind of like more of a diehard, thing. And that's a smart move, because now they're always going to, as long as they have NXT, they're always going to have that loyal fan base,
That's already another seed they've planted.
Yeah, exactly. They've planted, and that's smart, because that investment is going to constantly pay off. So then you have all these fans who are loyal to NXT, and then eventually some of these guys from NXT are going to go over to the main roster.
Mhm.
You're going to follow them. That creates an organic fan base. Smartest fucking thing you could have ever done. So even though some people say, like, oh, Triple H tried to kill the indies, no, I don't think he's killing the indies. I just think he's trying to basically create his own indie,
Mhm.
his own glorified indie, and it's worked. It's absolutely worked.
Yep. And speaking of the indies, you want to go to the news?
Yes, let's go to indie news, because we got some awesome stuff to talk about.
Let's do it.
Hi, my name is Dick Drizzle, and welcome to the afternoon. I'm just kidding.
Wait, hold out. Dick Drizzle.
Dick Drizzle. What's up, dude? I'll be here all week, kids. I do bar mitzvahs.
And today in the news, hey, did you see in the Houston? This is not wrestling related, but the Houston Astros. Did you see the whole thing with the Houston Astros?
The whole cheating scandal?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that, and just Christ, man.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Like, do you think something like that could happen in wrestling, as far as like with the rules of wrestling? That's something that crazy. I don't think so, because I think too much of the.
I don't think it's so much about like cheating. I think it's more so about like misconduct. That's what's going to get you.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously with the Tessa Blanchard thing that's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the only thing that we can think about in terms of like controversy of something like that was how the WWE is still going to Saudi Arabia, knowing that there's a lot of controversy surrounding that by itself.
Yeah.
A lot of people say like people are just accepting blood money and they're not wrong.
That's crazy,
Especially
yeah.
after they killed that journalist.
They must be paying these guys a lot of money just to go there for what,
Yeah,
one or
'cause
2 nights.
Even the State Department told them you should not go.
Yeah.
Don't do it. And they still did anyway. That must be a lot of fucking money. And I know there's always that whole rumor, and there's that rumor and innuendo of the last trip that they had.
Yeah.
That of course they basically had one of the planes not take off on time, and then a lot of the people didn't get to take off and make it to Raw or SmackDown. Was it last year? Leading up to
SmackDown.
yeah, it was. Yeah, they missed SmackDown. A big chunk of the roster. Only some of the main guys got to make it because they took the private jet with Vince McMahon. But that's what kind of prompted the whole NXT takeover, and it kind of worked in their favor. But apparently, there was some sort of dispute of money, and how Vince McMahon cut off the feed to the country for the first 30 minutes because he didn't get his money. So then the Sultan's like, okay, you want to play with my money, and all right, go ahead. Then I'm just going to basically not allow you to leave on time.
Oh, this is Wrestle Geek. What's up, Wrestle Geek?
How's it going, guys?
It's going good. How are you?
Oh, it's awesome, man. Had a great weekend.
Yeah, I thought I saw online that you went to the North Pro Wrestling.
Yep. First show of a new promotion, North Pro Canadian Wrestling.
Mhm.
Big show, man. Like, it was insane. We had Nick Aldis defending the NWA title.
Uh-huh.
We had Tyson Dukes, who is a huge deal up here in Canada.
Yeah.
We had Flip Gordon make a surprise appearance.
Oh yeah, I did see that. That's cool for
He
you guys.
was unannounced, and like they said 3 days before the show, mystery ROH guy. But like, we did not expect, like, the Maritime Champ comes out, which is essentially the secondary title of the promotion, and guy comes out, cuts his promo. He's from Matt Angel. He's from Quebec area.
Mhm.
Really good high flyer. But at this point, Matt Angel's beaten like everybody there is. And so when Flip's music hit, and like that was like everybody freaked out. And like I wasn't sure. I was like, we're in the Maritimes. How many people really watch ROH in this area? How many people are gonna like instantly know who he is? Turns out, lots of people knew who he was right off the bat. Like, everybody was chanting "Flip, Flip, Flip" the moment he came out. It was incredible. And then he ends up like, they have a crazy back and forth match. Spanish flies back and forth, and high flying, springboard kicks. Like, all of it was just crazy high paced action. It was amazing. And in the end, Flip ended up winning, and he's our new Maritime champion. And he's coming back in April.
That's so cool, man.
That's really trippy.
What was I going to say?
We
can watch this.
Sorry?
Do you know where we can watch YouTube?
It hasn't been announced yet where it's going to be posted or how it's going to be available, but I will definitely be sending you guys the link as soon as I get it and I find it.
Definitely, I think Canada, definitely one of those. How do you put it? One of those countries that has a lot of passion for wrestling, but it doesn't have its own New Japan. Yeah.
The way I describe it is, we are the UK 6 years ago. Like, when wrestling was thought to be dead in the UK, but it was just a bunch of tiny little indie promotions keeping it alive.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what's happening here. And the Maritimes, like, we're the heart of wrestling in Canada too. Like, when wrestling died in every other province and every other part of Canada, it stayed constant and steady here. It wasn't doing as good as it did, but it didn't dip the way it did everywhere else.
Yeah. Sorry, I think we're having a little issue.
I think it's just convenience. Or
do you hear an echo on your side?
Oh,
you don't hear an echo on your side, Wrestle?
no, not right now.
Oh, okay. I think it's
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
That's why I'm like trying to struggling to tell you something. Hearing myself say it too, I'm like, wait, stop, go, stop.
No, but that was so what are they going to every month or I mean, a while or
I'm sorry, it cut out a bunch.
oh okay, no problem. Yeah, I mean, shows every month or in a while now that they have been following.
I think it's going to be every 2 months right now, from what I
Mhm.
can tell.
Mhm.
So their next show was announced for March, and then late April they have a show as well.
Mhm.
So we'll see if it's every month going forward. But the booker for the company, I know him already. He's and promoter now at this point, actually, for this company. He's the guy who used to run Ultimate Championship Wrestling down in Nova Scotia. He brought in some amazing guys back when he was booking there, and now he has his own freedom, I guess, to do whatever he wants and book whoever he wants. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do with it.
Yeah,
A
that's
lot
gonna
of
be
like
cool. That's gonna be cool.
some of the best talent in our area is under his tutelage, and it's really cool. Like he brought Channing Decker over into this area about this time last year,
Uh-huh.
and I showed you guys he made his Big Japan debut earlier this month, and that was really cool. He ended up going through a table filled with light tubes at the North Pro show, so that was very intense.
And like I said, you gotta find like a YouTube channel or something for these guys. Definitely.
Oh,
If they
absolutely.
got
The moment
I'd be
they
interested.
put up their official content channel, I will let you guys know, because some of this stuff is incredible.
Yeah,
And,
like,
Matt Angel is now in talks with Ring of Honor, apparently.
oh, that's great. That's pretty awesome of Gordon to go out there.
Yeah. Wrestle Geek. Just keep us updated on that. Let us know. This keeps really echoing really bad for us, so we'll let you go now. But again, keep us updated. Let us know. Keep in touch. Keep calling us, man.
Absolutely, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks,
Have a
Wrestle
good
Geek.
one. Have a good one.
Man, JP, I cut you off really bad, man.
Yeah, man.
And you were looking at me weird, like, well, what did I do? I'm like, I have to talk to Wrestle Geek.
Yeah, but the thing is,
He's
like,
one of my guys. No, yeah. I know what you mean, though. Yeah, sorry about that.
yeah, there was just some technical difficulties, man.
Yeah.
I think it was the call because I'm not getting it anymore. So it's probably something with that. But
That's weird.
like I was telling him, it's like I feel like Canada is one of those countries that's so passionate about wrestling that, you know, when that doesn't have like its big major promotion, it's like Wrestle Geek said, it's a bunch of little indies scattered everywhere.
Yeah. Like I said, like Canada does have a really rich history of pro wrestling. I mean, look who's come out there. I mean, the Hart family, obviously, Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, Roddy Piper is a Canadian. You know, I mean, you have a lot of people that have come out of Canada that have been just amazing workers, and you know, I feel like Canada is also, I mean, from what the sounds of what Wrestle Geek said, and just seeing different, you know, things that go on up there, like Canada is kind of having another boom of wrestling up there again, you know, and for the longest time it was kind of dead, you know, just like the UK had nothing going on for itself, and now the UK is thriving. Granted, there's a lot of controversy with the UK scene right now, with the NXT UK being a thing now and kind of killing certain indies in the, you know, in the United Kingdom and stuff like that. But wrestling as a whole is healthy right now. There is a strong wrestling economy. Like I said, it almost feels like a return to the territory days, but this time it's not about geographic territories. It's about internet presence. That's what I think. You have your audience that enjoys this. You have your audience that enjoys that. And certain audiences cross over and certain audiences don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I see that there's a different kind of people fan that loves NWA Power. And those fans that tend to like NWA Power don't typically like don't typically like what's going on in AEW. And clearly don't like what's going on in the WWE. But then you have the AEW fans that are kind of like the spillover from who used to watch New Japan casually, and now, and you know, they're all about the indie. So, like I said, I think it's kind of like the territories, but it's about what style of wrestling do you like now, you know, rather than it being a geographic thing these days, because you have the power of the internet, which just helps.
It makes you a worldwide star.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like I said, I think it's a matter of just what do you like? And if you don't like something, there's an option somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I used to love SmackDown. Kind of to tie in before I cut you off earlier. I mean, I used to watch SmackDown all the time religiously. Not as much Raw, but more SmackDown.
Yeah, I mean, back in like the
But,
mid to late 2000s, if you want, there was always that whole statement of like, if you want to watch wrestling because for the longest time, even though the internet was around, wrestling was kind of just WWE, and that was it for most fans.
Yeah.
It was just, that was it. I mean, and if you were a diehard, you found Ring of Honor. And if you were diehard, then you went to go look at Japan, what was going on over there. But if you wanted to watch quality wrestling, like wrestling, not sports entertainment, not tons of promos and drama, SmackDown was the brand to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, you had Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle, Undertaker, Jeff Hardy. You had those guys that were, putting on great matches. If you really want me to be honest, I mean, I know everyone loves the Undertaker as a character, and he's amazing as a character, one of the greats of all time. The quality of matches he had in the latter part of his career were much better.
Yeah.
Especially because of the competition he had and the people that he had to work with on SmackDown, especially his rivalry with Brock Lesnar. But yeah, back then, like SmackDown was the thing to watch,
Yeah.
that was like the thing. I didn't like Raw either. I was all about SmackDown. I would only watch SmackDown for like years.
So I got a question for both of you guys.
Huh.
So I'm just being Juicy Damas here. So in the future, let's say WWE does NXT Japan, NXT Mexico, NXT
Canada.
NXT, like all these NXT different shows, and they do still keeping the pageantry and everything, the pyrotechnics, but then they switch it up to like 60-minute matches, 30-minute matches. Would you watch it?
No.
Like it's already that far gone that you're like, no.
Yeah. And the thing is,
I'd
like,
give it a chance.
You give it
the
a
reason why I
Yeah.
don't is because I just have a hard stance at this point that I just
Yeah.
don't want to support the WWE
Yeah.
anymore. Because to me, it's like, oh, you're gonna get me here, but where's the payoff down the road? You're just gonna send these guys to the main roster eventually, and then I'm just gonna make me lose interest.
Yeah.
Like, how the fuck do you mess up someone like Shinsuke Nakamura, who for years ago was like my guy? Like that was
Yeah.
my even in NXT, still my guy.
Yeah.
Now, don't care. Don't care. How do you make someone how do you make someone like Ricochet seem boring?
Yeah.
And you did. Congratulations. You made one of the most exciting wrestlers on the indies and in Japan boring to me. I just and it's part of it's by design. I get it.
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean I got to give him my money.
Yeah.
That's true.
I'm throwing a curveball at you now. What if
Uh-huh.
they buy New Japan and it's NXT Japan
I'll,
in
I'll,
collaboration with New Japan?
I'll stop.
That's crazy.
I promise you, I will quit wrestling.
You'll be an all Japan guy.
I'll watch all Japan. I'll watch the indies.
You watch Noah?
I'll watch Pro Wrestling Noah, which is on fire, by the way, lately.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of good stuff in
Where do you
Noah.
watch that? Like it's in.
On YouTube, usually.
They
But
got
they
a
have
network.
their own network as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know, man. It's just if that happened, I think I would kind of be done
Mhm.
with wrestling, man. Because like I said, monopolies are never good. Everyone knows how that ended up during the Industrial Revolution. For those of you that actually read a book, paid attention in class, it's the same thing with wrestling. Like I said, because WCW got bought out and ECW got bought out,
Mhm.
you had an exciting time in WWE because you had all those exciting guys on the main on that roster. But after a while, they all disappeared. People retired. People didn't want to wrestle so much anymore, wrestle as much anymore. And I think people got tired of just the WWE style of things.
Mhm.
Like I said, if people weren't tired of a certain thing, why is there all these other options now? Because I think at a certain point, people got tired.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like there's one product out there. It's like back in the day, there was only one soda. There's Coke. And, for a while, but Coke was it. I mean, Coke was the bomb. I mean, it still is. I still love drinking Coke. But I'm just saying that, like, after a while, I'm pretty sure people will start drinking Coke and you're like, what'd be cool? What if they made like an orange version of this soda? Let's do that. Or, hey, why don't we like make something weird and color it green and call it Mountain Dew? Or why don't we just like I said, after a while, if you don't change something, people get bored of it and want to make like other
Their own
options.
version of it.
Yeah, and that's what's happening now. I think people just got tired of being told that this is what wrestling is, and
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be.
I feel at some point they like WWE has these max like exodus where they just like people just leave in troves, like, so. And I feel like that's going to be interesting for the indies and AEW and all these other companies, where it's like as soon as whenever like Luke Harper, I think, is one that might be on his way out. I think they keep saying that, and then he comes back and
No, he's
forms
done.
a tag team with Rowan.
He's been released, but I think he has to wait his 90-day no compete clause. That's why he can't do anything right now. I mean, you've seen him. I've seen him take a couple of pictures with some people.
Yeah,
but he's legally not allowed to do anything until what, March?
Mhm.
So I think he'll be available. I think he can legally be allowed to say that he's doing stuff right after March. You know,
just in time for the Mania weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Which I don't. I think he probably has bookings now. He's like, I can't say it. I can't say it yet. Like, I'll get in deep shit.
Yeah, no.
You know,
go to AEW.
you know, or AEW. He'll be Brody Lee again, which Brody Lee during his time in Chikara and the Indies was an awesome talent to work at. So I was excited when he was in the WWE, and he had a good run for a little while. There was even a small time when Luke Harper had a small little like series of matches for like a month against AJ Styles.
Yeah.
And they were amazing. And not just because AJ Styles can make anybody look good, but no, like he basically played up on the fact that he was the bigger guy of the two.
Yeah.
And was agile. So it was like these great matches, and the crowd was actually like getting behind Luke Harper a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess they just didn't buy into him as somebody that they could push. So they didn't. And it sucks because I remember that those series of matches, like, oh man, that'd be cool if they pushed Luke Harper as like an IC champion or something.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, he was IC champion at one point for a little while. Yeah, but it just, I mean, like I said, I'm no writer, I'm not a producer, but it's just sometimes I really feel like if you gave certain people a chance that maybe aren't necessarily quote unquote the archetype, you might have more happy wrestlers willing to stay and you know, rough it out. And I think some people just stay within a company because the money's good. And you can't blame them. They got families. I get it. You know, I mean, look at the misutilization of Zack Ryder. How tragic was that? How many times have they had the opportunity to pull the trigger and push him, and they didn't?
Yeah.
You know, at this point, I'm pretty sure the only reason why he stays is because he's been with that company very long and the money's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. But at some point, I think that well's going to dry up, and then you're going to start seeing people get released.
He needs that money to go buy his figures. Have you seen his YouTube channel where he buys? Spends so much money.
Call me weird.
Okay.
But do you think he's kind of a dick?
Who's that?
Yeah, he kind of comes off as a dick on that show.
Really?
I think he does.
Why so?
I don't know. Just something about his like seems smug attitude, you know? I don't know.
I don't know. I just remember I saw one where he spent like $500 or $1,000 on like one figure. It was like a big, I think it was a Big Boss Man one.
It's like an old school big. Yeah, I remember I saw that an old Big Boss Man one from like the 80s or something like that, and I'm like, why?
I'm like, oh god.
Like fuck. Like I complain when I have to spend like $45 on like I don't know, fucking a merch, like any merch, like vinyl. I love collecting records, but it's an expensive fucking hobby. I've had to like cut back a little bit lately.
Yeah.
How much was that Marvel collection you bought that one time?
Oh yeah, like okay, I went to the flea market for my birthday. Me and GCJ with my parents, and there was like this box, and it was a little bit kind of like messed up, but it was still for the most part in really good condition. It was an old Marvel box or X-Men box, and inside was a collection of like 18 figures.
Yeah.
Like it was like 18 figures into this box. And it was one of those old collector's boxes from when I was a kid. And back then, if I calculated it, so it's like what? It's 18 times 5. That's like $90 of action figures right there. Because back then, action figures were in fact $5 back then. Not anymore. But back then when I was a kid, they were $5. So that's $90 of action figures in my time. That only cost me $20 with the case included.
Damn.
Of X-Men action figures. And I'm talking about like the first edition of X-Men action figures with like Apocalypse, you know, Wolverine with his brown and yellow suit, not the blue and yellow, the brown and yellow, and like fucking Storm and Archangel. And it was like, it's really badass. Like, whoa, like I can't believe like I found this, and they were all in pretty good condition. Like they're not perfect, but it was good. They weren't trashed.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, yeah, like I thought that was like a steal. And I'm like, oh man, $20, but fucking 500 to 1,000 for one goddamn figure.
That's crazy.
It better be like a blender, have like a sex hole to
And that's
use it. I don't know.
I got that one for $1. That one, that dinosaur.
Yeah, remember that show Dinosaurs?
Dinosaurs.
Oh, like an
Dinosaurs.
ABC back in the day.
yeah.
That
Puppet
action
show.
figure you see, like, I know the audience
yeah.
can't see this, but to the right of me there is a desk where Juicy J has like all these action figures above his computers, and there's a dinosaurs action figure that is probably a big collectible now at this
Yeah.
point for some people, and he only got it for $1.
Wow.
Huh,
The things you'll find in flea markets, man.
You're right.
absolutely. I mean, flea markets are amazing, but fuck, it was the 500,000. You're just being an asshole now. That's just more reason for me not to like you.
Oh man.
You know, but yeah, like I'm just saying, like, to kind of go back all the way around is that I think the reason why there are so many options is because people got tired of the same thing. They're
Mhm.
like, what else is there?
Yeah.
You know, and I think now, like, even though you can even say that wrestling was more popular back in the 90s in terms of mainstream appeal,
Mhm.
fair, but I think it's fans are a lot more passionate about now about the quality of wrestling.
Yeah.
I think we're in another boom era, but for different reasons now. It's not about the mainstream appeal. It's just about like the fact that people want options, like good options.
Yeah.
Because, you know,
Man.
the same thing over and over gets old.
Like I said, talking to Geek, it just made me realize like how underutilized Canada Canada is right now, because everybody talks about Japan, Mexico, but Canada just seems to fly under the radar for the longest time. And you think of all these guys that came from there, even right now, you know, I think Kevin Owens, he's
Yeah,
from there.
from Canada.
Who else? There's a bunch of guys, you know, Edge. Historically, there's always been really good wrestlers.
Sami
from-
Zayn.
Sami
Zayn.
Zayn's also from there, and it's like an untapped market. I never see a lot of shows go there, and it's like right there.
Yeah.
It's
I
not
mean,
like it's across.
I mean,
the Pacific.
Smash Wrestling is a good promotion up there in Canada as well.
Mhm.
You know, there's Smash Wrestling. I think Defy does shows up there as well. But yeah, you're right. Like, I think sometimes Canada gets overlooked these days, and they shouldn't, because there's been a lot of, historically, there's been some of the best wrestlers have come out of Canada, like, period.
Yeah.
I mean, need I say more? Bret
Yeah.
Hart.
Crystal Geek says Sean Spears, Tyler Breeze, Rosemary Alley.
Yeah, those are a lot of current ones right there.
Yeah. Of course, Mega Jericho.
Yeah.
So many people.
Untapped market. Some
Yep.
billionaire out there is listening to this. We got to start something, or
Make it happen.
no, but that's pretty awesome. Like I said, it just goes on there. Even the UK has its own thing now with all the.
Yeah.
It's kind of how he described it. Like, it was a bunch of indie promotions now, and kind of NXT rolled in the door.
Mhm.
So it's interesting, and it's a shame that there's no like pay-per-views in the UK and in Canada, because I feel like they used to be a big deal for those countries. Whenever it's like, hey, we're having like an actual like important show here. It's not just a house show in Calgary.
Yeah, no,
It's like the Royal Rumble or X. Same thing. I think they had SummerSlam in the UK. That was a big deal back in the 90s.
yeah, it was.
And you don't see that anymore. It's a dang shame.
Absolutely. Which is why, like, I remember, like, what WWE had that pay-per-view event, or the network special event where it was
Mhm.
in Japan.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was
Beast in
different.
the East, I think
Based
it was
in the
called.
East. Yeah, absolutely. But
Yeah.
you know, but yeah, I mean, with that being said, it's just I don't know. We just seem to have gone off on a side note about why wrestling is so diverse, and we go on. We do that from time to time.
Yeah.
But on that note, man, do we got any other news?
We got a couple of things to talk about. I know Taz just signed with AEW for commentary.
Great,
So
great. You know, on the commentary, super awesome on color commentary.
yeah, I know that's cool for a lot of Taz fans. I know it's not cool that he's gonna not do his podcast. It seems like now, so that's not not cool, because I know it was one of those people that listened to it. So it seems like he's not gonna do it for a while. What else? Oh, Chris Jericho is gonna appear in WrestleCon. So that's kind of cool.
I can imagine those lines will be insane just to meet him.
Yeah, speaking about Canadians, I don't know. Did you guys think Matt Hardy's gonna go to AEW? I know some people were.
I know he's kind of been
talking about
hinting at
that.
leaving for a long
Yeah.
time now, and if anything, I think if he can still, you know, go to the best of his ability, I don't see why not. I think he even said, like, you know, if I leave WWE now, I am very happy with my last run. I did what I did. I won the tag team belts.
Mhm.
I've done what I've come to do, and I can leave on a much happier note than the last time I left. So
Yeah.
if this is the last time in WWE, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean they were
It's a
gonna.
piece.
They're saying that he's gonna be the leader of the Dark Order.
Which would be
that'd
add a
awesome.
lot more legitimacy to it.
That would kind of save that gimmick.
Yeah, they'll kind of
In my
honestly,
opinion.
because the Dark Order gimmick is kind of
goofy.
It's kind of a little hokey. And even though, yes, the Matt Hardy thing was hokey, but he did it so well
Hmm.
that it was just like, you know what? Everyone just kind of was in on the joke.
Hmm.
And I think if you add that, I think perhaps it would help it. You know, it absolutely help it, especially because you have that kind of star power.
That'd be man. That's great.
Yeah,
Uh,
because all the me personally, all the heels in AEW, I don't really like.
MJF, He's a
yeah,
heel.
maybe he's the exception.
he's
But
a
everything else.
well, I love Pac as a heel. I think he's done a great job as like a heel wrestler.
Yeah,
You know,
It's kind of hard to be a heel in AEW because everybody's gonna cheer you. They're
because
like-
they appreciate like quality wrestling.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
things that are outlandish. You know,
they know what you've done in your career. They're gonna cheer you because of that.
I know the Inner Circle are supposed to be heels, and for the most part, they get treated like heels. But at the end of the day, people like them.
Hmm.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. Let me see some other news. Low Key versus King Mo for MLW.
exactly. You know, which is
Oh.
exciting. King Mo being a guy that made his name in Bellator. You know, with
Yeah.
the 62% win rate, had a solid career, and now he's transitioned over to wrestling. And anytime I see Loki go up against like a guy that has had a career in MMA or somebody that is, tested in mixed martial arts,
Mhm.
I'm really excited because Loki, even though earlier on in his career he was always known as the high flyer and the guy who used to utilize kicks, as he's gotten older he's become more ground and pound and submission based.
Mhm.
So it'll be really exciting to see that match happen for MLW. I'm really excited for that one.
Yeah, MLW, like we talked about last week, is a good one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw the episode this week with it was the finals for that
For the tournament.
for the tournament
Yeah.
with Pillman and
Davey boy.
Davey. Boy, that was a pretty good match.
Mhm.
And I think Pillman's gonna do well after this. I was expecting him to turn heel and just destroy the trophy. That would have been so good, but it's like a 70-year-old trophy, so I'm pretty sure that's why they didn't do that.
Yeah.
That would have been crazy. But yeah.
I think Brian Pillman Jr. is somebody that's on his way at some point. Like he's a breakout star waiting to happen. And it's not
Yeah.
just because of his name. It's like, no, he does have a look to him and a charisma to him.
Yeah.
And he's getting better in the ring.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Like compared to his first year 2 years ago, he's gotten a lot better.
Yeah, and that's awesome. They're kind of developing these guys, all
Absolutely.
these generation wrestlers, the Von Erichs too. Which I don't know if I saw this one episode. They have, so you know how the Von Erichs had like a fake brother, Lance Von Erich?
Yeah.
Apparently in MLW, there's a guy that's like supposed to be the son of Lance. He's also a fake relative. I don't know if that's actually a thing or if I made that up because I saw it's like, oh no, that's like Lance's son, like interrupting in the Von Erichs match. I was like, wait, are they actually doing that?
I think they're playing off of the gimmick, I guess, which
That's-
is funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're gonna run with it, just run with it.
Yeah, just like keep it kayfabe. But no, what else happened? Pretty much all that's going. I think LA Park's coming back after having that brutal match with what's his name? Not Joseph Samuel, but the other guy, Samoan dude. The Samoan werewolf guy.
Yeah.
I forget his name. I know his gimmick name, but he's coming back. I don't know what their plans are for LA Park now that he's
Mhm.
coming back. What else is going on? Dynasty, still hilarious.
Still hilarious as usual. And I mean to kind of shift gears though, like I said, I said it in the
Mhm.
beginning of the podcast, man, but I'm gonna say it again. Watch Bloodsport.
Bloodsport.
Watch Bloodsport come WrestleMania weekend. Dickinson versus Suzuki. Also Moxley versus Barnett.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I don't know too much about this Dickinson guy. Like, where does he?
He wrestles all throughout the Indies.
All
Just
right.
completely throughout the Indies. But
Cool.
he's wrestled through Game Changer. I know in this upcoming month, Game Changer is doing another tour of Japan with with the deathmatch promotion Freedoms.
Oh.
And I know Dickinson is supposed to have a match against Daisuke Sekimoto, which is a big powerhouse, wrestler, legendary wrestler in Japan who unfortunately has never been able to had a chance to wrestle in New Japan, but he's wrestled for All Japan and in Big Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah.
Big Hoss type guy. So it's going to be a hard hitting match between those two. So I'm really excited to see Game Changers tour of Japan in this upcoming month because it's always the last tour was amazing.
Mhm.
It was just a lot of fun to watch, especially seeing a lot of the mixture of styles and like I said, it is primarily deathmatch style wrestling.
Yeah.
But like I said, you'll get some classics in there, and I'm pretty sure we're going to see, even more amazing action this upcoming February with the GCW in Japan, which that's another indie that's starting to, grow, and a lot of that is
Good.
due in part to Joey Janela's involvement
Yeah,
with booking and finding talent for that promotion.
Yeah.
it's one of the good ones.
No, yeah. I always like to look a little bit more into wrestlers because it only takes one to kind of get you into a whole new promotion. A lot of people probably Kenny Omega. He was the guy that got people into New Japan, and then you find guys in New Japan like Suzuki, Naito, Okada, where it's like they're just kind of like a spider web.
Yeah, exactly.
So it just takes one wrestler to kind of get your interest, and it's like, hey, let me check out Game Changer. Let me check out the maritime wrestling in Canada, and so it's awesome. And it exposes you to all these different kinds of wrestlers and styles and gimmicks. And that's something that's beautiful about this.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah,
You know?
weren't you gonna be a wrestler,
No,
JP?
never, never.
Ref?
I would love to be a ref at some
Yeah.
point. Wrestler? Oh no, hell no.
You should be a tag team.
Yeah, I'm good. I don't need to take bumps anymore. I have too many nagging injuries from the army.
Yikes.
Let's
All
see
right.
what else we news. You got some more news?
I got nothing else, man. According to Wrestling Geek, he said that his wife is an indie ref. I'm gonna have to pick your wife's brain, man, because I have been
What?
thinking about getting into it
That'd be
at
cool.
some point in the near future.
That's awesome. Yeah, being a ref must be tough. You kind of have to be invisible for most of the match until.
But you also have to know how to play your part, listen. My problem is that I'm partially deaf in my right ear. Yeah. Like that's no joke. That's shoot people. Like I am missing 25% of my hearing in my right ear.
Yikes.
So that's gonna be kind of hard.
What?
Yep.
What?
Yep.
What?
Yep.
Jeez.
Yeah, you should definitely get her to call in next time, Wrestle Geek.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, so if you guys want to interact with us today, like Wrestle Geek did, he called and he's also interacting with us online right now. We're via instant messaging. Again, we're Podbean Live. Today we're just doing it on Tuesday, but next week we'll be back on schedule on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Central. And check us out on Podbean, people. You got
Exactly.
some more? Anything you want to say?
No, nothing else, man. Like I said, if for those of you that were not able to catch this episode live, you can still catch this episode. It will go up within the next 24 hours, of course, on Apple Music, Spotify, Podbean, YouTube, wherever you find your podcast, you can find Tiger Driver Radio. Like I said, next week we'll be back on schedule. And before we go, where can they find us elsewhere on social media?
Facebook under Tiger Driver Radio, Instagram also Tiger Driver Radio, Twitter Tiger Driver Rad1, that's RAD1, Pornhub. No, I'm just kidding.
Pornhub, God.
That was before I got here.
You know what, dude? Can we do that?
No.
I mean, not
No,
that I
no.
really want to, but can we?
That's funny. No. But you can also email us at tigerdriverradio@gmail.com. And that is it, guys.
Yeah. Pornhub.
No.
Oh, man. Pornhub. I'm going to go watch some Pornhub after this. What about you?
Now watch Disney Plus.
Disney Plus. Is that code for Pornhub?
That should be. Oh man.
Disney Plus and chill. All right, people. That's it for us today.
Absolutely, man. And like I said, catch us, like I said, once again, next Wednesday, back at our regularly scheduled programming next Wednesday. And once again, we want to thank Blue for dropping on by.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure to have you, dude.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to come here. Thanks for
Absolutely.
having me.
And on that note, kids, go check us out on where you find different podcasts, wherever you want. Email us, hit us up on social media. And until then,
Pornhub.
Watch Pornhub. You know, the more masturbation equals less cancer, less prostate cancer. So yes, and remember, kids, the best sex to have is no sex. But if you're gonna have sex, use latex. And on that note, kids, enjoy pro wrestling.
Adios.
See ya.